Negative thinking rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive loudly or dramatically. It slips in quietly, often disguised as reason, caution, or realism. You wake up, and before anything actually happens, your mind is already busy shaping a story about what the day will bring. Most of the time, that story leans negative. This isn't because your life is falling apart. It's because the human mind is not neutral. It interprets, it predicts, it fills gaps, and when left undisciplined, it often leans toward threat, regret, and self-doubt. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As a Roman emperor surrounded by pressure, loss, and uncertainty, he wrote to himself about the danger of letting the mind run unchecked. Not because thoughts were evil, but because they were powerful. What you think repeatedly becomes the lens through which you experience reality. And over time, that lens can either sharpen your judgment or quietly distort everything you see. In this video, you'll learn how Stoic philosophy approaches negative thinking, not by fighting thoughts aggressively, but by stripping them of their authority. We'll walk through a set of principles rooted in Marcus Aurelius thinking, designed to help you recognize, interrupt, and ultimately weaken the patterns that drain your clarity and inner strength. Stay with this. What follows is not motivation. It's discipline, problem framework. Negative thinking exists because the mind is designed to interpret the world, not simply observe it. Long before modern life, this helped humans survive. Anticipating danger, imagining worst-case outcomes, and replaying mistakes all had practical value in unstable environments. The problem is that modern life amplifies these tendencies. We are exposed to constant information, comparison, and noise, yet very few moments of stillness. The mind rarely rests, and when it doesn't rest, it begins to loop. Negative thoughts often feel convincing because they arrive with emotion attached. Anxiety ES predictions feel urgent. Regret makes memories feel heavier than they were. Fear compresses possibilities until only the worst one feels realistic. Marcus Aurelius warned that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but the judgments we form about them. When the mind misinterprets a situation, the body reacts as if the interpretation were fact. Stress, anger, and hopelessness follow not because reality demands it, but because perception does. The most damaging part is that people often assume their thoughts are accurate simply because they are familiar. Over time, repetition creates belief. Belief creates identity, and identity quietly shapes behavior. Stoicism steps in here, not to suppress thought, but to question its authority. Separate events from judgments. The first discipline is learning to distinguish what happens from what you say about what happens. Most people experience life as a single blur. An event occurs, and the judgment about that event feels inseparable from it. A mistake becomes a personal failure. A delay becomes disrespect. A challenge becomes proof of inadequacy. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that events are neutral. They arrive without opinion. Meaning is added afterward by the mind. The mistake people make is assuming their initial interpretation is accurate. In reality, it's often emotional, incomplete, and shaped by past experiences rather than present facts. This confusion creates unnecessary suffering. When judgment is mistaken for reality, the body reacts defensively. Stress rises, anger hardens, fear narrows options. The Stoic response is deliberate separation. Pause long enough to identify what actually happened, then notice the story forming around it. That pause weakens the automatic reaction and restores choice. The mental discipline here is simple but demanding. Treat every thought as a proposal, not a command. You don't reject it immediately, but you don't obey it either. Clarity begins the moment you realize that your peace depends less on circumstances and more on interpretation. Question the usefulness of thoughts. Not every thought deserves your attention, and even if it feels urgent. Marcus Aurelius often asked whether a thought contributed to virtue, clarity, or action. If it didn't, it was unnecessary. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to engage with mental noise that produces no constructive outcome. The common mistake is confusing intensity with importance. A thought can feel loud, emotional, and persistent without being helpful. Rumination often disguises itself as problem-solving, while offering no solutions. Negative thinking thrives when usefulness is never questioned. The mind repeats the same narratives because they are familiar, not because they are effective. Stoicism reframes the goal of thinking. The purpose of thought is not to replay pain or predict disaster. Its purpose is to guide action in alignment with values. A practical discipline is to ask whether a thought improves judgment or simply drains energy. If it doesn't inform action, it doesn't deserve time. This shift changes the relationship with the mind. Instead of being pulled by every thought, you begin selecting which ones are worth engaging. Control doesn't come from silence. It comes from discernment. Limit your attention. Attention is finite. Whatever consistently receives, it grows stronger. Marcus Aurelius treated attention as a resource to be guarded. He understood that the mind becomes shaped by what it dwells on. Constant focus on negativity trains the mind to search for more of it. Many people unintentionally rehearse negative thinking throughout the day. They revisit conversations, imagine criticism, or anticipate failure. Each repetition reinforces the pattern. The mistake is assuming attention is automatic. In reality, while thoughts arise uninvited, attention is something you can train. Stoicism emphasizes directing attention toward what is within control, values, actions, and present responsibilities. When attention drifts into speculation or self-criticism, it is gently redirected. This discipline reduces mental clutter. The mind becomes quieter, not because thoughts disappear, but because fewer are fed. Negative thinking weakens when it's starved of attention. Over time, what once felt overwhelming begins to feel distant. Inner order begins where attention is placed intentionally. Remember the temporary nature of thoughts. Thoughts feel permanent while they are happening. In reality, they are fleeting. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that emotions and thoughts pass, just as sensations do. The mistake people make is treating temporary mental states as lasting truths. Negative thinking gains power when it feels final. A bad moment becomes a bad life. A mistake becomes a fixed identity. Stoicism dissolves this illusion by emphasizing impermanence. No thought, no matter how convincing, remains unchanged forever. The discipline here is observation without fusion. Notice the thought, allow it to exist, and refrain from building identity around it. When thoughts are seen as passing events rather than defining statements, their grip loosens. The emotional charge fades more quickly. This creates space between awareness and reaction. In that space, resilience forms. Stability doesn't come from eliminating thoughts. It comes from refusing to become them. Align thinking with character, not comfort. Negative thinking often seeks comfort, not truth. The mind gravitates toward familiar patterns, even when they are harmful. Self-criticism can feel strangely reassuring because it's predictable. Worry can feel productive because it creates the illusion of control. Marcus Aurelius focused on character above comfort. He evaluated thoughts based on whether they align with virtue, reason, and discipline. The mistake is prioritizing emotional relief over long-term strength. Avoiding discomfort can reinforce negative patterns. Stoic discipline asks whether a thought strengthens character or weakens it. If it leads away from reason and responsibility, it's rejected, regardless of how familiar it feels. This approach reframes mental struggle as ethical training. Each moment becomes an opportunity to act in alignment with values rather than impulse. Over time, thinking becomes steadier, less reactive, and more deliberate. True calm is a byproduct of integrity, not avoidance. Practice daily mental review. Negative thinking often persists because it goes unexamined. Marcus Aurelius practiced reflection, reviewing his thoughts and reactions with honesty, not with self-judgment, but with curiosity. The mistake many people make is either ignoring their thinking patterns or attacking themselves for having them. Both approaches fail. Stoicism uses review as refinement. By noticing recurring thoughts, you begin to see patterns. By seeing patterns, you gain leverage. This discipline builds awareness without shame. It transforms mental habits gradually rather than forcefully. Over time, the mind becomes more cooperative, less chaotic, and more aligned with intention. Consistency matters more than intensity. System integration, climax. When combined, these principles form a complete mental system. They don't eliminate negative thoughts, but they strip them of dominance. Separation creates clarity. Usefulness restores purpose. Attention builds discipline. Impermanence weakens attachment. Character guides judgment. Reflection refines habits. Together, they shift identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone at the mercy of thoughts and begin seeing yourself as the one who evaluates them. This is the Stoic transformation Marcus Aurelius wrote for himself. Not control through force, but mastery through understanding. At this point, negative thinking loses its authority. It becomes information, not instruction. That is inner strength. Apply one principle for the next day. Not all of them, just one. Consistency reshapes the mind more reliably than effort. Observe without pressure. Redirect without frustration. The goal is not perfection, but steadiness. You are not your negative thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. Marcus Aurelius believed that the quality of life depends on the quality of thought, but also on the discipline applied to it. This practice is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming clear. Strength grows quietly when the mind is trained with patience and reason. A disciplined mind does not fight thoughts. It decides which ones deserve a place to stay. Carry this forward. Continue the work. Clarity is built daily.